Hello everyone and welcome to day 2 of week 9 of split 1 of the 2020 OPL. I am your host Nick Boy Richardson, and I am joined by the best bedrooms in the business, Spawn, Skimmy and Rusty. Gentlemen, welcome back to the OPL from Home PL.
Thanks very much, Nick. Great to be here. Skimmy, all I'm saying is thank God you changed your t-shirt, dude, because otherwise you and Rusty would have just been inverse of each other. And it
was actually kind of funny.
Real wild day.
I had this checkered shirt that made me look like a sailor. I'm like to Spawn, is this too dressed down? Is this too casual? And he's like, yeah, you look like a sailor. You need to put a hat on. So I didn't have that sailor hat. I've changed into a shirt. We're glamming up.
Did you say sailor or seller?
Sailor.
Sailor. I would have paid good
Popeye
Popeye Skimmy as a sailor.
Like
Popeye.
That could be me in another life, you know?
Rusty, I think out of everyone here, I'm most excited to see you and not you with your hand up the anus of an Australian Indigenous creature.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to not have my hand stuck. A little bit of effort this morning to try and get a camera on. Happy to have it working. My internet's still dodgy though, if you're wondering. But the camera's working, so we're fingers crossed for now.
My favorite thing that happened yesterday was it was like 10 minutes before broadcast, and you just sent us a screenshot in Discord of your internet speed, and I think it was under one Mbps. It was terrifying.
It was 0.5. Yep.
0.5 up, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We're excited to see you all in the chat. I see your monster tamers. I see your freakos. I see your coolie pick. I see your... Not going to say that one. Not going to say that one. Not going to say that one. Hi, Matty. I see you all. Welcome back. We are back, of course, with another super week day. We've got 6 games of League of Legends to play, making up, of course, from some of the games we missed a couple of weeks ago when we had to postpone the show for a Saturday. Today's schedule is looking like Avant Gaming versus Order for game number 1, Gravitas taking on the Chiefs for game 2, Mammoth versus Order for game 3, Gravitas versus PGG for game 4, Chiefs and Mammoth a game 5, and then Legacy and Direwolf head-to-head, rounding out the evening. I think we mentioned it yesterday. It is the game of the day potentially in terms of just throwdown smackdowns, but there's a lot to look forward to today, Spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when you have a look at that schedule, so many playoff spots still up for grabs. But what we do know is the top 3 teams are now locked. So whilst Chiefs, Legacy, and Direwolves can move around in positioning, they will make up the upper bracket of what is going to be the OPL final series. Order, Gravitas, Pentanet.gg, Avant Gaming, as well as Mammoth are technically still in the race for the last 2 slots. So whenever those teams are playing, you know that there is a lot on the line. You want to be able to make up those last 2 slots. Being in the lower bracket, we've seen teams have amazing runs in the past. You know, your Sin Gaming's, the Legacy of 2018, Order last year. Really, anything can happen if you just get to those all valuable best of 5s.
Absolutely. And anything can happen here on the broadcast as well, because it is Ask Nick Boy Day. Please send in your questions about literally anything. I mean, we had some success when Spawn, I think it was beginning of this year or maybe the end of last year, you asked for medical questions.
Medical questions are my favorite.
Questions, one of the two. We'll take medical questions, we'll take relationship questions, and we'll take home questions, since that's where we are all trapped from. The entire production is going online. There's not a single person in a studio anywhere. The whole show is being run out of the cloud.
Things to do.
Very impressive feat. You want things to do.
What can you do at home? Yeah, I want something to pass the time effectively. Like if it's
things that aren't knitting, but like, what are other people doing that we can have a discussion about that's worth considering?
Do you know what would
Was
be
knitting
bank
ever
at the
on the
moment?
table?
Well, no, not for me, but it is for a lot of my family, and I'm not going to
Okay,
take
right.
up knitting during this quarantine.
Sorry, Spawn.
Do you know what I'm waiting for? Is, and I've just been told to leave, so I'll be really quickly. I miss trivia a lot, and whoever comes out with the first mobile phone version of trivia that you can play through your TV or something like that, with people outside of your house, you know, actually a good game of trivia, is going to make mad bank during this self-isolation series, because it's been a disaster. But in saying that, I think I got to go.
While Spawn leaves, you can also just send me trivia questions that I can ask him directly. Send me questions and answers. I'll ask him throughout the evening. We'll see how big that big brain is. Of course, Spawn is leaving because game number 1 is Avant versus Order, and Rusty, Order didn't have the best day of it yesterday.
No, they didn't. They, to be fair, had to play against Direwolves and Chiefs, and they also gave us the most exciting game of the day, when you really think about it. That last game against the Chiefs was a bloodbath. But yes, they went 0-2, and so they do need to really, come back into the mix today and try and get those victories to secure a 4th place.
Absolutely. Skimmy, who are you liking out of Avant versus Order?
Hard to say. Avant have had this really random run where you're not too sure what to expect from them. But the last couple of games, they've definitely brought it to the table. So I want to say from a momentum standpoint, perhaps some things they've been working on are starting to come online. But, Order, one of these teams that Jake is always telling me start to really come online in these gauntlet runs. So I want to sort of see the proof in the pudding today.
That's right. This is your first time seeing the potential of Order in the last third of the
That's it,
split.
exactly.
It's very
So I'm
exciting.
keen.
It's very exciting. Hopefully, we won't be let down today. I believe they need to win the majority. Is it 2/3 of the next games in order to make it into Gauntlet? So this is
3
the
out of the
beginning
next 5
of
to
that run.
secure it.
Right, 3 out of the next 5. So then this is the beginning of that today then. AV versus Order. Are we ready to get into game number 1? I believe we are. And I only believe we are because I'm the person talking and I'm normally the person that throws the game. So I'm going to say yes. Let's get into game number 1. It's AV versus Order, and it's coming up after the Macca's Champ Select.
When the difference
between winning and losing
is measured in milliseconds.
Everything counts.
The Alienware Legendary Battle Station.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
It's a big game to kick off the second night of Super Week. Avant taking on Order. Both teams, both 4th and 5th right now, Rusty. So the stakes already out the gates to start off this day are extremely high.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot for both of these teams on the line to get those victories. AV with a bit of momentum, like you mentioned, and Order, the type of team that doesn't really suffer from a momentum loss. They are an emotional team, but day to day they'll reset well. They've got Spawn, they've got their captain Swiper behind them, so a lot of experience there, and really need to bounce back in this week.
Yeah, and I think you look at the meta that's coming into this one, we already started to see a bit of a glimpse of some of those changes, especially in the top lane with the Blade of the Rune King. Teleports becoming a lot more prevalent. Sometimes teams running 3 of those, even if they had global champions on board as well. So I feel like that theme is going to continue. One thing that we didn't see after the start of the day is Draku getting gifted that Wukong, then the rest of the day completely banned. So whether or not Order will make that same mistake twice, I'm sure the prep went into it and they said deny.
Yeah, when it comes to Wukong, we saw some games where it wasn't even looked at, which was surprising. And then other times, when you've got like the Chiefs as your opponents, AV have obviously proven that they can play the pick successfully. It has been seen more as a ban. So again, no surprises that Order would look at that in this one, when their top laner being Swiper, much more of the tank player. He could play the Wukong potentially, but it's just not his flavor. If he could get rid of it, he would. So AV, they do lose their top laner that they played in their one game yesterday, which was a victory. We'll see where they go to today.
Well, Jarvan is taken off as a jungler that Lisa can go towards. It's been one of his most popular in the most recent few games. Elise was then what he played last night. But then before that, they really tried to hard force this Talia composition, which we had some ideas behind. We weren't too sure exactly what they were going for. But it'd be interesting to see if Lisa just defaults to the Lee Sin as a result, as that is still up and available. Misfortune Center already taken away, so Aphelios, a potential first pick if order to decide to leave it up.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that Jarvan ban, to your point on Lisa. Of course, you can do the Elise, you can do the Lee Sin, but Jarvan's the one, like, true engaged champion of those two.
Yeah.
And I think that AV found themselves pretty reliant on him being that engaged source, and when he was on the Elise, it wasn't as clean. The game they won against the Chiefs, I believe it was, he looked very good, and it was a very big deal, and the Jarvan was a major proponent of that.
Yep.
So where he'll go is still to be questioned. I think because no solo laners were looked at as a first pick, he will probably show it in second and third with one of those solo laners. But yeah, we'll see where he chooses to go. Probably the Lee Sin.
Going to see exactly where he does decide to go with it. Bear in mind, obviously, when the Jarvan was locked in, it was always Chaz coupling it with the Rumble for a very easy to combine equalizer into that Cataclysm, guaranteed damage. Plenty to rock and roll with that. Going to go for the set in the Ezreal right off the bat here. So obviously narrowing that champion pool for the AD role has Aladdin there. And Swiper going to be quite comfortable with that tank.
I was going to mention this, Skimmy, because Renekton Elise is probably a really big deal now. 2-3 on a blue side pick, maybe even 1-2 on a red side pick. Just because like Renekton is stronger. Blade of the Ruined King got buffed, which is why. And whenever there's a Renekton, there's an Elise jungle hovering that champion. So that's definitely something to consider. And yesterday we saw a lot of set play, and it should be noted that Renekton was holding his own pretty well, especially with that item changes in trade patterns.
Well, Yumi's going to be picked up here. You'd imagine it's a major denial, obviously, to the combo with the Ezreal. Haven't seen it with Aphelios myself personally. Do you have any opinion on that as a bot duo?
I mean, Aphelios is one of those champions that just does everything, and does everything pretty well. So you've got the Ezreal on the other side. The reason that they picked the Yuumi with Aphelios was to take it away from the Ezreal-Yuumi combo, and then Order, with literally no hesitation, will say, well, that's your choice. Now we're just going to go towards the Bard Ezreal in bot lane and fill a similar purpose, so to speak.
Absolutely, going to keep you smiling. We can actually see your face as well. There is a webcam, so hopefully you don't lag out so we can see the emotion come through when he makes some massive plays. Renekton is taken away, right? So now it starts to make a little bit more sense. Set, okay, he's locked it in, but denying away that power creep that can come in that regard. And LeBlanc already denied away as well. So definitely targeting a lot of strong champions, not only for the meta, but for the players themselves.
Right now, pretty good damage mix from Order. They've also got a decent frontline and some engaged tools there. I mean, really what they want to round their comp out with is up to them. If they want to go for a hard counter for someone like Hayri, I think that's actually what they should be looking at. You know, LeBlanc's already gone. Cassiopeia is the next man that just gets taken away. Remember, he's a good Azir player. Maybe something he looks at. But he's also played the opposite style of League of Legends with, like, the Aurelia. So we'll see where he chooses to go. I think they may even consider giving him the last pick, but Only is also one of those junglers that may just want to pick against the enemy composition, even though he knows his matchup.
Be interesting to see, because Only has been quite flexible in what he's played. Hasn't played Karthus in a fair bit of time. It's been 5 games since, but he's going to go for that hyper carry, the hyper scaling jungle unit. And as you highlight with Harry, you know, the guy is also very flexible. So, you know, take away Cassiopeia, it works both ways for himself and Chaz. And now he showcased us the Aurelia, the Corki even, and the Comfortness control mages between, you know, the likes of Zoe and Orianna.
And it's unlikely this game, but I have to always mention that Hayri is just a very good Yasuo player. You know, they've gone for a magic damage jungler, so those are the types of moments where it's available. As AV have just finished their comp off with a Rumble Urgot. It's not quite the Renekton, as that was banned away. So, rightly so by Order, a good ban. But they've gone for the Urgot.
Chaz is loving this Rumble regardless if Jarvan is there or not, but yeah, the Urgot has to be the main talking point right here. Obviously incredibly tanky in that top lane. Harry's going to revert back to that Irelia as well. So there's comforts, there's interesting points. I suppose really we want to talk about that top lane matchup to start with. The fact that Renekton wasn't taken when it was up and available from the first pick rotation. Choking out then that champion pool and enforcing an Urgot, you know. I wonder what skin we're going to get. Do we even have that new Star Guardian skin available?
No, surely not. I don't think that's just been teased at the moment. That's not going to be out anytime soon. Thankfully, some normalcy in top lane. But towards that top lane matchup, yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's not just a melee bruiser, it is a mid-ranged bruiser, is what I guess I would call Urgot. But a lot of his tools that are still about engaging do close the distance, and so Swack will still be able to punch him a few times. Where it gets interesting for me, actually, is the execute, because Set is someone who likes to take that punishment, right, use the grit, and deal it back with a shield. But if his health gets below a certain value, then Urgot ult just wins that trade anyway.
Yeah.
So it is going to be an interesting matchup to watch how the junglers get involved, because you definitely would have enough damage between an Elise and an Urgot over time to be able to take that Set down.
Be like, shield or not, you can't really do much to really prevent this one. So I'm quite interested, as you say, the Urgot chains, the binding, if you will, to come on in and sort of lock somebody in place. You mentioned Lisa before, obviously not as comfortable on the Elise, reverting back to it in this situation here. I mean, how do you feel like that can affect a lane such as, Urgot?
Well, massively, right? And like to the draft point before, at least Renekton's a big deal and often seen. This isn't too different. I'd say a little bit more flash reliant though from the Urgot. So that's a place that like you see the draft, you say probably want to go up there, probably want to gank that lane and get my respective lane to snowballing. The Karthus on the other side, obviously not a gank heavy jungler. So seeing how he'll perform will make me very interested, because top lane swiper, like he's used to it, he'll need to play defensively, survive the gank attempts, or at least the pressure up there, while only plays the map, as he does very well.
Now, being a Bard fanatic yourself, obviously you got the little mini game there with collecting all those chimes against a lane like the Yuumi, where it's typically that sort of sit back, buff up your ally, and go from there. Do you think Bard gets an easier time? Kind of like how you typically think of Senna maybe being a nice matchup for stacking her soul. Do you think Bard has a better time of actually not going as punished when he's going to go for the little mini game?
Going for chimes, yes. Laning, no. It's not that fun a lane to play against a Yuumi.
Well, we're going to see exactly how things take on place here. Game number 1 coming up right after this break. Get a snack, get some food, get some drinks. Get yourself ready and strapped on in. Game number 1. It is the very first game of the second day of Super Week. Avant sitting in 5th spot, taking on Order, currently in 4th. Rusty, the stakes are high. Playoffs, you're looking at that coming into 1 week remaining. It's some spicy drafts to start the day off with.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of things here that were surprising. One is that AV went for the Urgot. Another one is that the Bard was seen on the other side immediately into the Yuumi. So it seems that there was a couple of plans here that were planned, set out, and executed on in the draft very nicely, as a lot of this was in the first 3 picks. The thing that I think we should start with here, Skimmy, is that AV had the opportunity to pick the Renekton in their first 3 champions, go the Elise Renekton combo and try and snowball the lane out through top pressure.
Yep.
They opted away from that early pick to go towards the Yuumi takeaway. So this draft has panned out in a way that's like, we want to take things from Order to reduce their power, and so they have suffered the consequences as a result, and then got immediately picked into again. So if you're looking at it, objectively, who do you think won the draft just from the way that they drafted? I think Order came out on top. That's not, respective entirely of just the champions, but a forced Yuumi to take away from an Ez Yuumi, Bard in a good position. I'd say Order are in the driver's seat draft-wise.
And do you say then it's fair to assume that they need to find some value at least before level 6 when Karthus has that Requiem? They need to try and utilize this at least to get Draco online?
Yeah, the things that AV did well was they immediately went for something that can still have early pressure, still can trade decently against the set, and with an Elise they're still going to be kill threat. The Rumble's still a very good champion in its own right. We've seen Chaz roam very well with it as well. So there is a lot of room for AV to make plays and make up for effectively what was the draft denial from their opponents. It's definitely a thing that we're going to have to monitor.
Let's keep our eyes on this bot lane as well. You mentioned that Yuumi should have a nice time up against Bard, and you can see that poke that can be so frustrating to go against. And the signs really of a good Yuumi player, obviously, is the bop and block, the passive that obviously gives you the shield that you can see currently active on Yuumi there, then to jump across and pass it across.
Pop quiz for you. You asked
Yes.
a question on social media earlier in the week.
What's that?
When does an enchanter support go for the health items?
Yes.
What was it?
Situations where you don't feel like you're going to be able to get too much farm, which is not looking like it right now.
When you're against Yuumi, you're probably not going to be able to get a lot of auto attacks off if you're the Bard, for one, right? So what you could do, especially because you're a champion that leaves lane and you're not reliant on mana because you have chimes, you can go for the tanky item and you could still proc it off cannons in multiple waves and be fine, so your timing keeps up. I actually think this is a very good choice from Ayla. It's also a tanky item, that's a lot of pressure bottom.
That is a lot of pressure right now. This is level 2, and they are not only getting priority in the lane, hitting that level spike first, but also just forcing him under their tower, where Gunkrab's at a guts for. He's going to really run Appy here by spamming through that mana.
And the lesson there, Skimmy, and the trade-off that you should be hyper aware of is if you're playing Zyra and you choose to do this, you're not going to have mana regen, because the support item that's the tank one gives you health regen instead, which is very good against a Yuumi. So again, there's more reasons as to why this is such a nice pick and why I've mentioned it 3 times already. I think it's going to be a big deal in this lane, and you can see already they're trading nicely, and Ayla has not lost any health.
Not lost any health at all. And obviously going to have the Doran shield on Rez Ezreal too, so plenty of sustain to try and match that can come out of the Cuddly Cat. But only already showing face. He's going to come to the mid lane. Lisa is there in support. They're going to look to try and dive on in. The spots of death do not connect just yet. Drops Chaz down to half. The gank attempt may go south. But we're looking at top lane now instead, where Draco's already getting pushed on down.
Yeah, I guess they'll disengage. It seems like Chaz took a little bit too much damage anyway, so he wants to push himself away from that one. When you look at top lane, you note that Swiper has the push and is in a decent position for the Karthus to continue running around top side in the jungle and pressure and take away some more camps. So he's going to be able to go for this bot scuttle just based off the trade they want in mid. You can see Lisa hovering just above him, however. Lisa is a level down.
Lisa did pick up that top scuttle, bear in mind, and is going to spot out Swiper as he roams down to mid lane now. Level 5, so won't have that slam dunk just yet. But bot lane, yeah, they've got this composition that you mentioned, had poke, and they've got the ability to engage like such. Can they get the binding up against the wall, forcing out their flash? He's not going to get stunned, he's going to take a lot of damage, and that's a clutch heal coming out there from Appy, expending all of his mana, preventing a first blood.
That was pretty crazy to me. AV saw the Karthus moving, and they still found themselves in a position to be ganked by the Karthus, starting it off with the Wall of Pain. That's pretty inexcusable there from AV. You know, now they've used their flash on Gunkrab, they've used the summoners off RP to keep him alive, when they could have just continued to walk away.
He's going to force Lisa to babysit that lane as well. Rumble has reset, but bot lane's for the meantime, not wanting to fall any further behind the CS. Has actually done a fantastic job, Gunkrab, of evening out that CS deficit. Was down by about 10 beforehand, but able to keep up and let CSD under the tower.
Yeah, pretty calm start to this game, but things going pretty much as planned in a lot of ways for the side of Order, only having that advantage in the jungle.
Oh no,
like 2 CS.
Swiper's here. He's got that TP on lockdown. He finds that first blood instantly. Ezreal, without any mana, hits that kill, gets that rune proc, and gets the mana back. That's a double kill, and instantly rare. The dream start.
Yeah, and it's a punish onto AV. They're the ones who overstay. They want to push the wave in, they make the mistake and Swiper with no hesitation, and only actually in top lane to catch the wave as well. Flash and barrier used in mid lane by Chaz as Swiper walks through to go back to top lane. AV are really struggling with their tracking of the enemy champions, and it's punishing them massively.
And the trade-off is they're not able to find anything as a result. Draken would have looked to try and make something happen in the top lane. Karthus, as you say, is there to hold it. He's going to slam dunk in to find Lisa in the bush. It's going to be a 2v2, so damage comes on out and stay focused down to Karthus. He can still do damage from the grave. Lisa going to force that flash on out himself. Harry comes for the rotate. Chaz can't respond. He has no summoners. He does have the equalizer, but it's just not going to matter. That's another kill, and Swiper involved again.
Yeah, and a good move from AV. They looked for only. They take him down, but unfortunately, you know, the rotation's there from Hayrid. The mid priority belonged to him because of what Swiper had done earlier, and so it does just result in a 1-for-1 trade. Once again, Order find themselves coming out on top. The only person who's really winning from that trade was Dragku. You know, a lot of time spent top lane by himself pushing, and then the kill that goes to him when Lisa was looking for the gank, but otherwise, AV's struggling.
Rare has obviously a massive power spike with that gold to get those items online, and Harry's looking for that engage. Obviously has the Requiem to come on, and he walks away. Cool guys don't look at explosions, but they do fall down to minions. The burn is there, and well, that feels bad, man.
It definitely does. Dragon also now going to be picked up by Order. They're in a very comfortable spot, considering the Karthus is there to pick up those kills, and things like that are only going to continue to get worse and happen now that he's 6.
Dragon is picked up amongst it. Is going to be an Ocean Drake, so I'm not going to get that as the soul. I'm looking at what would be the most desirable one.
Now?
Yeah, people are saying it was
in
coming out
both
left.
ears?
I could hear you
Can
coming
hear
out
me in
both
both
beforehand.
ears? Can you just
I
give
don't
a
know.
thumbs up in the chat if you could hear me in both your ears right now? Because if it's just your left ear, it feels weird. It feels weird me talking to one ear.
I'm getting thumbs up. People are happy.
Cool. Your right ear now has to put up with me as well. Sucked in.
That's therapeutic. Talk to me more, please. Yes. This is how I want to start my day off with. A little bit of rusty talk.
Stop it.
I'll behave.
Commentate games.
I will behave. Rusty, what do you think about the ideal Drake in this game? So, obviously Ocean is gone. Is there a world in which Cloud Drake becomes the most desirable because of how much strength Order can find with their ultimates?
Oh, Cloud Drake's pretty nasty for like a Karthus and an Ezreal in particular. Absolutely. They would be very happy with that, but I mean, you think about those exact same champions and say how good's an Infernal Soul for them. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
It's pretty significant. I mean, anything that is like all four souls are honestly really good in this game. The only concern would be like if AV find themselves with an Ocean Soul. It'd be really hard to deal with just because they get so much health regen and you have a lot of poke in your composition.
Well, thankfully, that won't be an option in this game for them, but Order will continue this tempo in their game, finding a Drake and now getting their first Rift Herald. The rotations are already clean. They're looking to try and break open top. The damage is already being started here by Rare. And they're going to look to try and capitalize on bullying Draku away from this tower. Lisa is hot in pursuit, waiting in the wings. The mobility of a Bard makes it quite easy to disengage.
They just have so much map control, man. You know, able to get the Drake, rotate through mid lane, they'll get themselves the top lane outer turret here as well. Look at the trade on the opposite side. It is the Aphelios looking for plates against the set, but Swiper is actually standing there to try and keep them back and punish them as they look for these waves, and he's also clearing the minions. You know, we saw this yesterday in a Legacy game, and they punished to the point where they killed their opponent that was trying to defend it. But you can't really do that as successfully with the Yuumi and the Aphelios opposed to that Ezreal.
Look how frustrating this is for them to even try and force a flank gank attempt. You know, the portal to go on in, drop down the control, deny vision, force them away, and just concede all this gold right now. You know, Order definitely in the driving seat for EK up.
And considering that they've got the Cull there on the Ezreal as well, even more efficiency because they're just giving him all the farm, all the waves to clear. They're playing the macro game. They're not looking for those very bloodthirsty, kill-heavy games. And like you mentioned, that gold lead grows. The concern is that it continues to stretch. And I mean, the entire gold lead right now, look at the AD carries.
Yeah.
Consider the plates that he's gotten.
2k of that, obviously, gold lead, as you say, going towards Ezreal. And we already, you know, consider how cheap of an item build an Ezreal will have in comparison with the Aphelios. So to get this man online as quick as possible is the dream start. Not to forget, obviously, Harry will have a fantastic time when Blade of the Rune King and Wit's End are complete too. Will be a fantastic duelist to pad up those members, make Requiem and True Shot Barrage find those executes. So the tempo is like a bit of a change, sort of a little bit more reminiscent, I suppose, of their final game last night, where it was all about team fighting.
Yeah, very different to their game last night. That was definitely the unicorn of our OPL games, though. It's not something you'll see every game. But right now, yeah, we're getting closer to those item break points, the big things that you have to look at here, particularly for someone like Harry, who has gone for the Blade of the Ruin King build. Needs that item spike to be on before he really hits peak performance. Whereas the Rumble can kind of sit on component items and be very content with getting those levels to still have some relative strength. There's just that equalizer being there.
Final chapter goes out to try and force a disengage, but Bard has had enough of it. He drops down the golden halo ground. He waits for the team to come on in. True Shot Barrage won't find anybody. Slam dunked out of that one. This is a wrestling match. And out comes the equalizer, and it will find a kill to equalize at least something, but it's a 2-for-1 trade so far. Double kill for this man in the mid lane. Yuumi jumps away as Avant run.
Only very confidently flashing forwards down the back end of it, knowing they were going to win the fight. Rare still farming, and Swiper teleports to catch bottom wave. Order, once again, they catch somebody, they punish them for being overextended. They make it work very successfully, and they cover their bases on the disengage. So always thinking one step ahead.
Start to worry now as the Ezreal, as the Elise, you know, you look at trying to get this lane ahead and it hasn't been able to happen. Only is running this map Mark right now, and he just takes your name. He takes you down. Reku, what can he find with this one? Can he get these members low enough down to try and get an execute? No, he's forced to disengage away as well. Yuumi comes in clutch. And Order definitely understanding their power spikes and really finding their stride here.
Yeah, Draco just trying to help his mates out and almost dies in the process of doing so. So once again, Order, they stand strong, only always in the right place at the moment in this game, finds himself in mid lane to protect Rare, and ends up being an opportunity to go forwards, be aggressive. And we'll see what happens in top lane as Ayla is able to use the turret for that Bard Q to hit the stun. And then of course it's just set up for Swiper to come in, make the plays, only actually doing a whole lot of damage during this one. Absolutely stands out to me as the MVP, and you know, Harry getting into the mix while Rare covering mid lane. And that's the thing, you know, Order have done this multiple times now, but if they make a play somewhere and it's a skirmish with less than 5 people, the other member is actually covering the place in the lane that they need to be. Is Draku.
They just disable the tower. He goes for the flip. The tower will come back online very shortly, but it being so low makes it quite easy to still chase on through. It falls on down now. Draku on lethal. Swiper does have the ultimate up very shortly, but not just yet. And once again, you talk about the mobility for them to traverse the map and how hard it's been for Avant to keep tabs on that. Just more examples.
Yeah, most definitely. Draco also finds himself struggling in this game. Not so much in the farm department, but Swipers has actually spent a lot of time out of lane. It's that anyone he goes near beats him in the 1v1 right now. That's where he's really, really struggling.
30 CS difference between these junglers, going to net themselves a 2-level advantage if only, which might add, had a fantastic game up until the 15-minute mark so far. So much gold in his pocket as well. So 2 clear win conditions so far for Order, and makes it a little bit harder really here for Avant to find a ideal shutdown target.
Yeah, so they need to just hit their big items. A full completed item for Guncrab, very important. Same thing for Uppy. Once they both have one apiece, they can make big plays. Unfortunately, that Cocoon just a little bit short there from Lisa. It was a good attempt, however, having the Gravitum Cannon for Guncrab. But with those full item completions, they do some relevant damage. They'll at least be able to do enough damage to get kills, then put themselves on the board. And because they've got the Elise Rumble Urgot style composition, I mean, surely they'll try and go for picks with that comp. They need to if they want to get some gold.
Absolutely, that would have been a nice little bounty shutdown for them to help get these members online. Guncrab working ever so closely towards that Infinity Edge completion. Doesn't have Flash available just yet, so bear that in mind. Very easy pick target if he was to get CC'd into Oblivion. The stun connects once again from Bart, and look at the pain that comes across. The final chapter, he spelt his own disaster as Lisa gets slam dunked in. Obviously has to repel to disengage away. Making it very hard here. Chaz is now going to look for the 1v9 play. Out comes the equalizer. Out goes the flame spitter. That's going to be 2 for 1 so far. Requiem from the grave will take down the jungle, so no momentum shift to pick up a Herald in this exchange. But now Draku shows his presence. He gets himself on the board and he picks up a double.
Yeah, the reinforcements come in there from AV. It's the Rumble coming in on the flank being level 11. It's Dragku hitting that ultimate as well. And they do all of that without a support player on the map. They'll still lose the turret in mid lane, but that's some much needed gold. Consider the gold difference right now on your screen being 6,000. You have to say that was a favorable trade for AV just because they got some money in their pockets. As we'll see this fight again. Uppy just dead, and Swiper actually uses Flash ult to try and keep Rare alive. Rare also flashes. So there's a lot of things used there, which opens the gates for someone like Chaz to come in. And while he almost gets one hit by the Karthus damage, the reinforcements are there. Draku able to find the mark, and Karthus so close to getting these kills, man.
Draku is disgusting with that max range execute. Rare's just like, I have no arcane shift, I have no flash. Feels absolutely bad, man. Bounties are gone. Harry the only one to retain it, and that will definitely make a bit of a difference in terms of his goal, but it is still a 6k gold lead. Out comes the Zonya, is now complete with stopwatch being used before. True Shot Barrage won't find the execute, and Equalizer will look good on the ground, but Harry finds those kills.
And we mentioned this during the break, Skimmy, but working towards a Wit's End is a big deal, but that's just against the Rumble and the Elise. And you can see now with even just the Negatron Cloak and Merc Treads how little damage Harry took for the entire health bar of that Rumble. As they'll steal away the blue buff as well. The punish continues to grow.
It does indeed. Swiper continues to also push out bot lane as well, whilst the rest of Order keep Avant occupied here. They're quite choked out on vision. Obviously have it around towards the Baron pit to scout out if a Herald was to take place. And this is a risky situation for Appy. He needs to jump to somebody. CC would make his life terrible.
He's not playing like a Yuumi. He's absolutely not playing like He's playing like a Bard. And that's the champion on the opposing side that keeps almost catching him out. Needs to show a lot of respect or will instantly be taken down. This time, of course, thankfully, he shows just enough and gets himself over the wall. But God, every time you see a Yuumi by themselves, you know it's doomed.
What do you think of the set build here? So we've obviously seen so many different versions of it, be it Blade of the Rune King, Trinity Force, and Black Cleaver. Has gone for the Executioners as well very early on, but against the comp that he's going against, is this more, look, I know I'm not the main focal point of doing damage, I just want to pad down their physical armor and allow the likes of Rare to really get in the front of things?
Yeah, it's basically exactly what it is, right? Go for the Black Cleaver, not the Trinity Force build. Trinity Force is a dueling item. I know that a lot of champions look good with it, just because they utilize every stat that it provides so effectively, but Trinity Force's sole purpose is, I've completed this item, with the stat boost I can 1v1 my lane opponent, or at least get lane priority to try and win a game. Black Cleaver helps the rest of your team do damage, And so while Rare has the Trinity Force, Swiper enables Rare to do more damage, enables Hayri with his Blade of the Ruined King to do more damage as well. And that's really the key purpose of it there. Like, it's a little bit cheaper, a little bit more cost efficient, because he doesn't have mana being set, but at the same time, it's just, like you mentioned, the focal point's not him.
Well, it's not going to be a blue Ezreal. That 3k gold buffer between him and Guncrab's going to go for the Trinity Force build, as you highlight. So it's going to be a lot of damage in his pocket. So we get to see Ezreal not be, say, the duking 40% CDR king, although that will come online a little bit later, but definitely the one that can one-shot you
It's a flash.
with these Qs.
Very out of position there was only. But he got the red buff, Skibby. He got himself out at least, and he will continue this farming tirade in the enemy jungle and his own now. You can see the farm differential. I mean, you said it a couple minutes ago, it was like 30. Well, it's just growing constantly.
Yeah.
And it's a Carthus. It's 7 Dark Seal stacks. Like, we're hitting that critical mass point where he's going to be too far ahead. At a team fight, if you don't have Azonias, or at least Repel, or your Yuumi, like, you will actually just take all of your health.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Aphelios. The Guncrab is just going to feel it.
What do Avant have for them right now? The fact is they have every flash available, obviously Yuumi being the exception to that, so they do have a fair bit of mobility to try and outplay, try and force those hard CC engages.
I'm just ASMRing the stream. I was in the left ear before, now I'm in the right ear only. Where am I going to be next? I'm in your middle ear next.
We're not watching our cast anymore, this is the Rusty show.
Back to left. Please keep talking so it's not me suffering.
Chat is so preoccupied with you, I love it. Cloud Rift is what I mentioned before, so we've obviously got one of everything right now for Order, and if they can get the Cloud Soul 2, yeah, as we discussed at the start of this game, it is the dream, right? 20% CDR reduction, and given how far ahead these two crucial members are with the True Shot Barrage and Requiem, it's almost like, how do you beat that now?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're exactly right. I agree. Herald not going to be summoned. How do they stop this, Gimme? I don't think they can.
Could be a lot of damage that goes on towards this tower, and damage is done. It is executed. Baron is available, but yeah, we need to see some stopwatches. We need to see some Zonias completed. We need some survivability here to ensure that they don't get one shot.
And right now, the Zonias that they do have has actually been used against the Aurelia, you know, more than anything else, trying to avoid damage. That Carthus ult covering it as an afterthought is still going to do ridiculous amounts of damage to him. And yeah, where else can they even do that? You know, it's a Death's Dance second for Dragku, which totally fair. You know, it adds merit to the Urgot pick. You have a bit of extra resistances in your damage, and Urgot's always going to be happy about that one. But how much is that going to save him? Because it's just reducing the damage from happening instantly. So he needs to stay in combat, or he's still really going to feel it.
Well, Order want to really force this team fight right now. They're looking to start off Baron. I can imagine they're going to look to try and peel away and force that fight as a result if the option does present itself. Incredibly strong they are with this gold buffer. 8k is the play. That's going to be a final chapter. And that's fantastic as well. Redemption comes on down. Final chapter to try and lock people in place. But Guncrab is going to be the first casualty in this team fight. At least repels away. Yuumi chucks at the arrow to try and find a target to lock on down. Swiper grabs in the jungle. He slam dunks too and falls to the grave, doing his job, applying those Black Cleaver stacks. As Harry comes on in, he finds the first kill. Now they turn their attention on towards Draku, who's looking to try and use that ultimate, but it's already been used, so he can't find a second execution. Yuumi on his head! Yuumi disengaging, but going back on top so the Requiem doesn't kill him. Harry, lucky to live. Happy will fall on down, and Chaz, in a familiar story, can he find a kill? He cannot! It is an ace!
For just a moment there, Skibby, I thought that Urgot Yuumi combo was going to be way too strong. It was actually closer than you would expect it to be, given the goal difference between the teams. But at the end of the day, Order still get the win. It's still a clean team fight result for them. Very nicely played by Ayla to start it off with an engage, and then continues to hit stuns. I mean, he's just putting on a highlight reel for himself during that. I didn't get to see who Dragku used his ultimate on and if it connected. Because for a moment there, well, obviously we'll get to see it now, I thought that if that was able to hit a target, it could have been a really big difference maker. Because Guncrab was a non-factor in this. You know, the Bard ult hits, and then you cannot flash the Bard Q, as it already tethers him to the area that it first connects, so stuns him down. So yeah, Urgot ultimate just misses. completely through all of them. Imagine he has that now.
Yeah.
You know? Like, this fight could be a different story. But AV, they have Chaz, but now they've just got to disengage as Harry starts to run them down.
So many members, as you say, lethal tempo, and that's why we made the call. I was expecting it to come on out, but it didn't. And yeah, with Yumi on top of his head, would have definitely
through
been
a
a different story.
Karthus ultimate. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that was close. It was closer than you'd care to admit of your order, but you'll take that one.
Well, that's going to be the Cloud Soul. So the reduction is there, the damage, the movement speed. As if you needed any more stickiness as it is. These members are running you down anyway, so I think really this is now surely Order's game to lose.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like it has been for a little while, but that last team fight just cemented the fact. And, you know, they're against a composition that is very good at picking people off. The only thing that you would say at this point, Skibby, is if Rare dies,
Wow.
in typical Rare fashion, if he finds a way to die, it could slow the game down.
Could indeed.
Probably
Redemption's going to come on down. He's actually going to juke on out of that one. Swiper going to fall incredibly low, and that's what happens. You talked about it during the draft. No shield, no problem, because an Urgot can execute through that one. Rare going to look to try and go for the kill. Gets flipped away, falls to dash on out. QSS's as well. Lisa's still looking for that pick, and Gunkrab not going to follow that portal on through. The defense is there, but Final Chapter finds
Oh, it hits.
Can they find a kill to follow things up with? Gunkrab utilizing that Moonlight Vigil to get himself topped up and healthy. Very hard to try and take him down.
Well, there you go. Wasn't Rare. It was Swiper's turn this game. He gets caught in the 1v1. Ayla gonna cop a boatload of damage there as well, and you know, one member dead being one of the split pushes, it does slow the Baron push a little bit, but again, still way too far ahead. Still way too much pressure. They're still gonna keep pushing.
Yeah, the gold lead is exponentially high right now, 12k difference, so we're talking major items. You look at these carries, you know, 5-on-1 on this Irelia, 3-on-1 on Israel. The members are definitely packing a punch, and, you know, it goes back to the fact that, you know, Black Cleaver was picked up. He's not looking to be that sole carry, he's just looking to buff up his teammates and allow them to continue what they're doing, because you're looking at almost double digits in terms of economy between some of these players now.
Yeah,
4-level
he's
jungle
buffing
difference.
his team, but yeah, okay, that's very significant. This isn't the first time we've seen that from Only either. The last time we saw this, he was playing Karthus. I believe it was against Sully. He's very good at finding himself experienced leads. It's also, you know, it lends towards who the champions are and the state of the game. AV, they lose the Baron, they lose the fight of the Baron, and you know that one of these champions is still going to be farming Skibby. The other one's going to be trying to place vision and protect his team. And the answer is that Only is still farming. He's 16 on his Karthus with a death cap done. That Dark Seal probably soon to be a Medjay if the game even goes that long.
It's gross.
Lisa, now a control ward bot.
It's almost like you don't want to kill him, because how do you defeat this man? They're going to turn their attention onto him anyway. That's going to force out a flash and wait for his team to come on in. Out goes the Equalizer, the portal disengage, but walks straight into Dracu that says night-night. That's a shutdown, which helps this man out, the one that's already got the majority of the kills, half of them on the side of Avant. Definitely going to slow down this engage, and Harry will try and find a little bit of reprieve in that top lane by pushing in to set up an inhibitor.
Yeah, all Order really need to do is not die there, and things look a little bit cleaner. You know, you've got Harry already hitting a turret in top lane. They've got the Cloud Soul. They're prepared to use that Karthus ultimate to inflict damage onto the rest of the map, but suddenly they lose their jungler. They lose their player with what is now a 4-level lead, 100 CS. They're so far ahead, but they still keep getting picked. The pick composition of AV is still definitely working. They're still, with no hesitation, trying to pick their battles properly.
This much gold, but you're definitely sitting on the edge of your chair thinking, just please close this game out. I'm sure Spawn is thinking the exact same as well. Triple
yeah.
Executioners is online, so they've definitely got the healing cut to try and burn through these members, but we've just yet to see another full 5v5. And maybe a little bit of hesitation after that Baron bait, right? When there was that incredibly close fight, which could have gone completely different had Dracu had that ultimate available.
I think a lot of this is like, it's not the easiest thing to do to just set up in A lane and beat AV, you know, to break the base. And Order still haven't broken the base, and they already have a 12,000 gold lead. Like, they are stupidly far ahead, and they should just be able to clean this game up. But until you break the base, that's just not going to happen, right? keep getting picked in these situations on the way to the base and things continue to play slow, I mean, you're going to be Baron reliant if you want to break it. So I think that's where Order will put most of their attention now. But it is also an Elder that will be on the board soon enough, Skimmy.
Yeah, Baron is up and available in a minute. The Bardock will not connect. Yuumi will obviously be there and present. So Elder is still a few minutes away. But Baron may be what Order look to use as their team fight condition. It worked for them last time.
Good Scuttle Crab take there by AV as well to make sure they have some vision around the Baron. It means that you can't immediately bait as it spawns, buys some time for them as well. And I wonder how AV feel about the possibility of having to trade. Like right now, someone needs to be dealing with Swiper. That much is for certain. He's just going to break the base by split pushing. And that's because AV were drawn to the Baron buff itself. Now they disengage. If Elder and Baron are up at the same time, I wonder where AV go.
Well, it's an interesting situation, right? Because Harry was pushing top. The bruisers of Order were getting it done to sort of almost force Avant's card, right? Like, you need to do something right now. You either need to force a pick or you're just going to lose a inhibitor. So I feel like Order have done a great job, obviously, prepping this. And as you say, now Elder is available in 15 seconds. Baron has been sitting there for a while now. Where do Order actually look to try and set this fight up for?
Yeah, right now looking to control the red side jungle quadrant of AV. Maybe get the picks on them as they try and come to the Drake itself, but definitely capable of doing it. They've started it off spawn. No hesitation. The rest of the team aren't set up just yet, Skimmy. They need to get to the pit. Lisa definitely has an eye in on this.
Yeah, Lisa will find vision uninterrupted with that control wall to go on down. Yumi's going to start this fight off with it. It's going to find a route onto one key target. The stopwatch will come in.
He's hitting Elder.
Drake is going to get very low. They steal it away! Avant find the Elder. This could be huge now to try and turn this fight. It is! Chase finds a shutdown onto the Bruiser. No stopwatch already being used. They're going to find a second and Swiper. The grit doesn't matter. He's going to go for a stopwatch. This could be a turning point now. Requiem going to come in, but it does not matter. My God, Lisa. A shaky early game, a rough mid game, but the late game still.
Uh-oh. They've just given over an Elder pretty cleanly. That was a 2-for-1 trade. Baron's up. They break mid out and they could probably just reset and run straight to the Baron. It's still a 9,000, 8,000 gold lead, Skimmy, but it doesn't feel like it right now.
How, when you're that behind as a jungler, do you outsmite a Karthus? I don't understand.
Oh, well, Karthus just needs to be too many units away to press smite. You'll get to see this again. Order disengage at Lisa, because Order didn't really set up in the jungle on the red side. He's just going to take the blast code over. And look at where Only is. He's zoned away by the Yuumi and the Urgot. Doesn't get there in time. He's too busy throwing Skittles at the enemy team that are standing in front of him. And of course, Aurelia goes down in the process, and from this point, Swiper stuck in the pit. He's going to die as well. If you're going to disengage, you cannot do it when it's that low.
Well. Gold difference, jungle difference. Avant have the resilience to stick in this game. What ultimates do they have available? Everything is online. Moonlight Vigil soon to come. Bard starts things off with, makes the Avant members look like trophies. Out comes the response from the Yuumi support. But this Baron is going to get zoned away. This is a free pickup. The buff's almost equalizing that gold deficit.
Remember, they've got
now.
Elder
The
buff
portal
as
to
well.
disengage.
That was very close. Only was actually pretty low on HP. He was getting close to an execute range from an Elder Dragon. I mean, now they've got Baron. They won't have a whole lot of Elder Drake left. Elder basically secured the Baron. But to the point that I made a few minutes ago, Skibby, how do they break the base? It felt like they needed a Baron to do it. And now they've lost all of their map threat. Like, there's no reason for AV to leave the base if they feel like they're losing, because there's no Baron or Elder on the map. And they're the ones with the opportunity to push their waves out and try and get some picks, which is what their comp does.
What do you think they go for here, Rusty? Realistically, given that they are down 7 turrets or 7 towers to 1, do they look to just run it straight down mid and try and break open inhibitor, or do you think it's more safe like we saw yesterday, just to try and establish some of those outer turrets, really trying to break open the map, control some vision, and maybe look to some picks?
Well, I think the first thing they should be doing is getting vision control in a jungle quadrant and controlling 2 lanes, probably not 3. Right now they're forcing it down mid lane, so there's really good... It's not necessarily teleport wards, because there's no teleport for Order, but vision just set up in the red side jungle of AV, which means it's very hard for them to play a pick comp if there's wards that'll be spotting generally where they are. So they need to set up some vision control. make Order kind of feel pressured. If they want to push, they need to clear this first, and that's when your comp really works.
Well, Order's aggression definitely forcing back 4 members of Avant. Draco was doing work to prep bot lane to work towards that second turret, but now is going to force himself to return to this team fight as a Moonlight Vigil goes rogue, doesn't connect with anybody. They are looking desperately to control this mid turret from falling on down.
Yeah, Gunkrab just chatting them. Yumi's actually going to use the ult. They want Swiper.
They do indeed. Moonlight Vigil and final chapter will find some Valley. Swiper gone again, but he's got a GA this time, so it doesn't actually matter. Draco's ult's not going to find full Valley. Jungle for jungle. Now we get to see the power of Akarthus online. It's going to be kills so far, 2 for 1. Working in favor of Order, but they've done it. They found that blip on the radar. They found their moment to execute. They will find an ace. Monka S in the chat about that Baron and Elder beforehand, but they will, with these respawn timers, be able to close out this game.
Never in doubt, Skivvy. Absolutely never in doubt for the side of Order. They've got 1 ranged minion left. They'll be able to take this turret out themselves. They will get themselves the victory on the path to finishing 4th place in the standings. Jeez, they have to give you some heart attacks, don't they? They really want their general manager spawn to be stressed.
It's always entertainment when Order are on the stream, and that's a fantastic game to close things out with 4th up against 5th, the gauntlet run, the playoffs, everything you want to see from Super Week, and they close off the night, they start off the day. They show us everything you really need to, be entertained.
They show us everything. They show us how to get a big lead. They show us how to punish their opponents well. They show us how to throw that lead, and then they show us how to bring it back again. Like it was kind of like a roller coaster where it felt like the fate was sealed. Like at the same time, like how far ahead that Karthus was, how good their composition scaled anyway. Like, I didn't think it was in doubt, but giving a Team Elder a Baron, man, you make it stressful.
You do indeed, and obviously, only went so far ahead. I think it once again goes back to that drafting point you mentioned about, Lisa being so comfortable in the Jarvan, forced to go into this Elise, giving up the Renekton, not really finding that value, at least pre-6, to try and get Draco online to justify that rotation. And, as we said, Swiper was just able to chill and let the boys do the damage. So, Order take the dub here, an important victory for them to secure their playoff spot. We'll be back after this break, coming up with game number 2.